is Miss Morris, teacher of strings, here from the Winston-Salem Symphony to help you learn how to tune your own instrument. This is the cello tuning video. You will have a separate video for violin, viola, and bass. There are 4 strings on the cello: A, D, G, and C. For daily tuning, you will use the fine tuner at the end of each string to tune. Righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. For big adjustments in the sound, if the string is very out of tune, or occasionally, you will use the pegs. Follow the string all the way up. Look inside the peg box to see which string goes with which peg. Generally, the middle 2 strings go with the upper 2 pegs, and the outer 2 strings go with the lower 2 pegs. The lower strings are on one side, the higher strings are on the other. Students in kindergarten through 3rd grade will have their parents tune their instruments. 4th graders and above can learn how to tune their own instruments. Don't practice without tuning your instrument. Watch the entire video before tuning your instrument. I know it's a lot of Miss Morris, but you got to watch all the way to the end before you start tuning. Traditionally, teachers teach their students how to tune their own instruments over several weeks or months. So watch all the way to the end of the video, and don't be afraid to watch this video more than once. These are your fine tuners. You're going to use them for daily tuning. These are the pegs. You're going to use them occasionally or when the string is really out of tune. The fine tuners are for daily use. They make small adjustments in the sound. You can turn them and not break the string. If you turn them too much or too fast, you don't have to worry about breaking a string. These are the pegs. They're used to make big adjustments in the pitch. You can easily break a string if you move them too much or too fast. Both the fine tuners and the pegs work on the principle of righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. If your thumb is going over, you're tightening or raising the pitch of the string. If your thumb is going under, you're loosening or lowering the pitch of each string. This is the bridge. It's not glued on. If your strings get too loose, it will fall. If your bridge falls, call Miss Morris or Miss Rachel as soon as possible for more help. One last tip before we get started. Remember that Mrs. Morris has been tuning cellos and basses for a long time. So take your time, listen to the tone carefully, and do your best. Remember, it's going to take a little bit of practice to get good at it. Holding your cello while tuning. You should always hold your cello out in front of you with this part of the cello right in the middle of your chest and your left hand around the neck. While you're tuning, you can pull the cello up and put it right in front of you. You're facing the cello. You're going to use the hand that you write with to turn the fine tuners. You're going to use your other hand to hold the cello at the base of the neck. It's very important to keep a good grip on the cello while you're tuning. Remember that when you're turning the fine tuners, righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. Righty-tighty is going to bring the pitch up, lefty-loosey is going to bring the pitch down. Now if your cello is too high or too low when you're tuning, you're going to put it across your lap and you're going to keep your left hand on the neck. Then you're going to use your right hand to loosen or tighten the screw to lower or raise the end pin. Never take your hand off the neck while you're adjusting the end pin. To tune your own instrument, you're going to need a tuner. You can find one in the App Store for low price or for free. Mine looks like this. This is what my app looks like in the App Store. And this is what my app looks like in the app. It has 2 functions. One, I can sound the A. I can match the pitch. I can change the pitch by using the buttons. Or I can use the needle. In this video, I'll be teaching you how to use the needle. The needle needs to point to 0 and have the correct pitch up here. If it's pointing to 0 and it says B, and you're trying to tune it to A, you've definitely got it a whole step high. So make sure you're watching here and here. Also, you see the flashing flats and sharps. The flat means it's lower, the sharp means it's higher. So if it says A flat and you want to tune it to A, you're going to need to bring it up a half step. So it just says A. If you're wanting to tune it to A and it says A sharp, you're going to have to bring it down a half step because A sharp would be a half step higher than A. Remember, righty-tighty brings the pitch up, lefty-loosey brings the pitch down. So this is how the tuner works. You're going to play the note, and as you can see, it's to the left of the 0, so it's too low. So I'm going to start to bring it up by tightening the string, righty-tighty. And with cellos, you have to wait for the string, so you have to turn and wait. Turn and wait. And then play again. Turn and wait and play again until you get it up to the 0. There it goes. And with plucking, you're going to use the top of the pitch. So right after you pluck it, so it's going to kind of be a little high. Then you're going to do the D. Oh, this one is too low too. I'm going to bring it up. While you're practicing with the needle, also practice with the ear by switching back to the other function on the tuner and matching your A against the one that you hear. Okay, so when you're tuning your cello, you're going to have the cello facing you. You're going to have your tuner where you can see it. And you're looking at the name of the note and the needle going back and forth. And then you're just going to pluck the string and watch the needle. You might want to pluck it a few times, find the center of the pitch, and then adjust the fine tuner righty-tighty for making the pitch go up, or lefty-loosey to make the pitch go down. Now, if the string is very far off, you're going to have to use the pegs. So what you're going to do is if one of the strings is loose, or if it's more than a step off, or maybe the fine tuners have dropped all the way down and you can't tighten them anymore, what you're going to have to do is loosen them all up and make them very tall again, and then do 90% of the tuning or 99% of the tuning with the pegs. So how we use the pegs. What you do is you take your hand and like a fist and you grip the peg. And what you want to do is you want to turn the peg at the same time you're pushing in. So one of the things that's hidden when you watch someone else do it is they're not only turning the peg, they're pushing this way with the peg, but they've also got this hand around the base of the neck, so they're pushing this way. So the force this way and the force this way is just as important as the force of turning. So I'm going to go ahead and take my A down by pushing this way and turning it down. And then I'm going to pluck it again, and I've brought it down to an A flat. I'm going to bring it down a little bit more, just to practice. And to practice turning with those pegs, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take it down a couple steps, and then I'm just going to move it back and forth. And remember that you're only turning these pegs a millimeter at a time. So I'm not turning I'm not just cranking it this way or cranking it that way. I'm turning it like a millimeter, a millimeter, and a millimeter this way. And then when I bring it back up, a millimeter, a millimeter, a millimeter. Now I'm up to A flat again, and I've got to get up to A, and I'm watching the needle and the name of the note. Now I'm up to A, and my back and forth. So if there's any other noises in the room, it's going to make the tuner give you all these different notes. So just keep plucking it, it'll pick up your instrument again. Now I've gotten it up to A, but it's a little sharp, so I'm going to turn it down with the fine tuner just a little bit, and it's back on A. So let's do that with one more string. Let's do it with a string on the other side. Let's do it with G. Now, in order to do this side, I have to take this hand and put it here, and this hand and put it here. Now, because I'm right-handed, this side is a little more difficult, so it takes a little bit more practice. So it's in tune right now. I'm going to take it down. I'm going to take it down again. Remember, I'm moving it just a millimeter. I'm going to move it around and see how it feels, and then I'm going to take it back up. I'm on G. Oh, and I got it a little too high, so I'm going to bring it down with the fine tuner. And that's how you use the pegs. Tune all 4 strings from highest to lowest, A, D, G, and C, and you'll be ready to go. And that's how you tune a cello from the Winston-Salem Symphony and Miss Morris Teacher of Strings. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share.